here with T the Man and Dee Dee, and they are brothers and sisters. So today we are celebrating here at LeeStreetBeat with T the Man and his sister. And of course, I grew up down the street a couple doors down, so we all family. So welcome, Dee Dee, welcome.
Thank you, Sandra. Yeah. We are family.
Welcome to my virtual home. This is where I like you.
It's nice to be welcomed in so that I can leave whenever I need to. Thank you.
Just leave the room, right? But today, we're here for a special show because we really want to talk about CrossPurpose. CrossPurpose is about career training, and you are involved in this, Dee Dee. I was able to look at your company's mission. I was able to look at some of the videos of the people who have participated in this program. I really want you to enlighten us here at LeeStreetBeat and all of our listeners to what it is that you all are doing, because I'm going to tell you something. You guys are doing a great work.
Thank you. I agree with that. CrossPurpose, the vision came about in 2012, and we actually became active in 2013. And our mission was to alleviate poverty. And it wasn't just economic poverty, but also, it was spiritual poverty as well as community poverty. Because we feel that in order to really deal with the piece of economic poverty, it's all about relationships, who how they open up doors for you. And so we wanted to take a stab at how we could do that. Since that time, we have been glad to say that over 365 families have exited poverty, and by the federal definition of poverty. And we continue to support those families. Wow. The beauty about our program is that we do workforce development. So we bring someone into our program, and now our program is 6 months in length. And so by the time they come into the program, they have the soft skills training and what we call personal development, which is followed by middle skills training so they can skill up and get a livable wage. We offer things such as we have 5 different programs in medical, such as medical assisting, medical billing and coding, medical CNA, medical admin. A lot of the programs have been brought in-house. And I'm just really glad because I'm an entrepreneur by nature. So I've been able to make a lot of these connections and bring our programs in-house. By bringing them in-house, we can deliver to our, what we call them leaders, because they're leading their own change. We can deliver to them a quality product that they can do at their own time. They're not defined by the hours of a school or when their school is open, but they're defined by the time that they can put into it.
So you all offer certifications?
Correct. We offer certifications in approximately 4 different sectors. We offer IT, we offer medical certifications, we offer trades and construction certifications. We also offer, legal secretary and so forth. Mm-hmm. So we try to look at the current job growth in Colorado, in Denver, Colorado, namely, and to see which jobs are slated for growth and that will get people to a livable wage. A livable wage.
To get them those skill sets.
Correct. So right now, a livable wage for us is about $23 an hour. I mean, when we started off, it was $15. So we're looking at jobs that can get them within 2 or 3 years of entry-level work to a livable wage.
Is there a waiting list for this program? Because it seems to be, from hearing from it, it sounds like a very positive, should be a very popular thing. So is there a waiting list, or is there qualifications to be in this program?
Yes, there is qualifications to be in this program. And there is kind of a rigorous application process that you go through. And one of the things also, you have to be drug-free or of everything but THC. You're able to come off of THC in 30 days because you have to understand the outcome of the program is to get full-time meaningful work. And even though Colorado might be you can use state, a lot of the employers still do not hire you without a preliminary drug test. So we do have pretty rigorous application process, and we do have a waiting list. We only have 4 cohorts a year, and out of those 4 cohorts a year, we will have about 75 people that are admitted. But because that was a problem, especially with COVID, I was able to help develop another side program called Easy Access. Easy Access is different. It will give them the preliminary skills that they need. It's more as a is a self-paced course that we do online, which requires less time involvement because the other traditional program requires you to be available from 8:30 to 3 every day. And so easy access now is another measurable in which people can get the skills that they need, and they can get the entry-level training and help without having to be online.
And so when you're able to introduce the program to people online, then you're not limited so much to having 75 people. You can have more people, you know, to participate in the program.
And we help negotiate. You have to understand, with part of the funding and the government funding that we've been able to secure is through SNAP RFP for service, as well as a TANF RFP for service. Now, they are required to be in eligible work activities in order to receive their funds, you know, that for use. So by creating one online that doesn't start on the 4 times a year cohort model, people can enter into that program at any time and receive the help that they need.
Exactly. Wow.
You know, I was going to say, do these participants, do they get paid while they're being trained?
That's the beauty of it. Yes, we do help pay them while they're being trained with us, but it's called a stipend. You know, our stipends have ranged anywhere from $200 to $350 a month. We know that it's not the end all of everything, but because we're asking to dedicate their time for their training, you have to understand we pay 100% for all of their training, for all of their supplies, as well as we give them a stipend so that they can kind of mitigate their expenses for that short period of time so that they can change their life.
Wow, sounds like a wonderful program.
Really Can I talk about some of our successes?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. For example, and you know, we are a felon-friendly program. How you come is how you come. So probably approximately 30% of our people come and have a background issue that we're working with. We had one young lady who came into us and she wanted to pursue be a legal secretary, but she thought that, you know, her felonies would prevent her from being that. You know, the success of the story is when you look at it later on, and she got one of the best jobs with one of the top legal firms, and probably receives even now one of the highest paid for an entry-level person, you know, coming through our program. That's a win-win, not just for us, but it's a game changer for her family. We like to talk about the return of investment because we have a lot of funders that back us. So we talk about our return on investment being even better than the GI Bill, because you have to understand every family that we help alleviate and pull out of poverty is new money growth in our system. And it's also removing them from off of the welfare system so that no longer is money being poured out for them. So we talk
making them self-sufficient.
Making them self-sufficient. And so we talk about a gain of something like $7.5 million has been recouped and put back into, you know, society because these people are getting gainfully employed.
Great. Is this just in the Colorado or Denver area, or is this a nationwide organization?
That's a very good question, Tindo. One of the things that we're doing now is once a year, we bring in a group that come in to learn about our program up close. So we have people who are operating programs under our motto in Memphis, in, Nashville.
Are they under the same name?
Pardon me?
Are the programs under the same name?
No, they usually run under their own name. I mean, They could but they usually run under their own name, but they are following our motto and our directives. We have a program that's right here in Colorado in one of the more expensive suburbs that's running one too. A local church, more of what you would call a mega church, has put together a program to support their people. And they run it under a different name, but it's the same directives. They even connect with us is to make sure that they're running the program the same way.
Exactly. That's awesome. You know what? You built something that people want to replicate because it's helping people. You know, I mean, the first thing that you deal with, you know, when I was first, you know, looking at the 3 steps was, you know, really just like taking a holistic, you know, look at the person and meeting them where they're at, you know, and see that, you know, I mean, unlike, you know, college, you know, this is a program that is 3 steps for a reason. And, you know, I really enjoyed listening to the story about the young lady who was in the program, and then, you know, she had some financial issues and how she thought she had to step back from the program, but that the program actually stepped in and helped her and continued and allowed her to go ahead and complete her education and finish what it is that she started. And I just thought, wow.
Well, we've had people step in to help people in the program, and we've also had people to step in to volunteer things such as cars to single moms who could not get out there. That's the beauty about it. Let's talk about even in COVID, when we had a retention rate for people in our program, we've been following for up to 3 years, of 92%. That's phenomenal. So not only did they get jobs, but they were holding these jobs and retaining. All of a sudden, COVID hit, and we had approximately 60 people who were laid off from their work. Well, the program, we don't take that lightly. We feel like when you're a part of us, you're a part of us for life. So they began to raise funds, surround them, and be able to give almost each person anywhere from $500 to $600 to help them get support during that time as they try to transition. And then we've also hired extra people to come alongside them to now help them find meaningful work again. So once you're in the program, you're a part of family. And that's another key piece that didn't necessarily talk about. There's a community element to this. Every Wednesday prior to COVID, we would have a catered dinner. That might have up to 140 people there because we provide daycare for their children. They come in, they have dinner between 6 to 8. They meet in small groups, and that becomes kind of like their core group while they're finishing out their 6 months. This core group is made of community. There are people using each core group of 8 to 10. There's probably 3 what we call allies, just people who want to walk alongside someone to help be the change. Now, we know it's not what you know, it's who you know. Allies have opened up tremendous doors for many of our program leaders, not only in helping them sometimes to find jobs, but in working relationships. These working relationships are changing the look of even racism in America, because many times these allies do not look like them, right?
Absolutely.
I remember one time when we had a Hispanic leader whose family had come from Mexico, and then we had a Republican ally family that was his. That was probably a big fight when they were talking about Trump and everything. But what we were able to do is to sit down and mediate that and talk about the friendship that has been developed. We cannot change everything about our outer core, how we were raised, who we support. But as they came into dignified discussions about that, they began to have an understanding of his hurt and his pain. And I'd like to believe it changed even the trajectory of some of their choices in the future. They really had no understanding. And I think that that's one of the key problems going on right now, that people do not have a key understanding of our hurt, of our wounds, of the hardships that we have endured.
Yeah, well, you know what? We want to talk a little bit about that. Here we are. I also want to, say a little bit about, how it's been affecting me as well. A couple weeks ago, I dropped a short film that I wrote and narrated called I Can't Breathe 2020. With the death of George Floyd, America is seeing what's been going on and what America's been seeing for years. To be quite frank, Black America has had a knee on our neck for 400 years. And it just seems now that people are, joining in on the fight, and we really need them to join in the fight, because to be quite frank, white people need to kill white people, because Black people can't be racist. I don't care what you say. Their problem and their fears are something that they need to face. I tell them that they need to familiarize themselves with white fragility. And if you can't read the book, check the video out. You need to read the 1619 Project, which is out, and you can just Google that. And you also need to familiarize yourself with the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, because to say that, I am not racist is not enough, because the opposite of being racist is not I am not racist. The opposite of racist is anti-racism. And see, we can't really start having dialogues with people who don't understand what it is that we're talking about, because I'm gonna need you to get on a certain level in order for me to have this conversation, because there are certain things that are true. And so what you need to understand is that you know, we're going to talk about the way we're raised and all of that, and all that's fine. But I need now people to stop being ignorant about how they were raised and reach for the truth. Okay?
Well, a lot of people
it's no longer, I'm just saying for myself, you know, the information's out there, and yeah, I'm going to, you know, understand how you were raised and this and that. But when I listen to stuff like that, and I think about, you know, here in Georgia, how racist people are, and I always got to hear about how I was raised. I'll sit down and have that conversation with you. But I'm going to need you to level up in terms of how racism is affecting America, how it affects Black America. It's not enough for me to just understand how you were raised. I need for other people to understand how we're feeling and to educate themselves, because how you feel is not how the reality is of how we're all being affected. And that takes education.
Well, it takes education, Sandra, but it takes more than that. Someone can no longer use those excuses of how they were raised.
Exactly, because the information's out there.
And we have to change the norm. And that's what I believe we're in the middle of now, of changing the acceptable norm. For example, educating themselves, like how when you say white people can't be racist, people who are uninformed will come at you and combat you on that. They cannot be racist in the United States because we do not have an economy to hold against them to keep them suppressed. Now, maybe in some place in Africa where they're the only white person, they could utilize that. We could be prejudiced, but we can't be racist because they don't understand the whole component of racism. Now,
racism is a system.
Correct. And so we don't have the power to hold that system over them. So
exactly. We don't have the agency.
With white fragility is it makes them uncomfortable. I mean, you know, I have had more problems with people being uncomfortable and sometimes poking at me on social media, different things. I don't have problem with people who write me. I have people who write me, inbox me and say, you know, hey, Cordelia, I really respect you. I want to know your views on this. Even though they might be a little bit off-centered, I respect the fact that they're willing to have a conversation for meaning because they're searching out meaning. One of the biggest problems that I've had, and I am a Christian, I'm a diehard Christian, you know, but or I hate to use that word because it's so loose nowadays, but I'm a follower of Christ. But the biggest problem I've had sometimes is some of my evangelical counterparts. And the reason that I have a problem—
they're hypocrites.
I'm not going to say— I won't go there because it's like
hypocrites.
brother. But what I will say is they have a huge piece of ignorance that they have held to.
It's willfully and woefully ignorant.
That same ignorance is counter to the Bible and what the Bible talks about. All are fallen, all have sinned, all have come short of the glory of God. So they try to get up in this pharisaical place where they believe that racism is the other and not them. I personally believe that the divide is not going to change until it changes within the walls of the church. The Lord says the judgment would start with his house first. And that's why I believe that he's calling out the church in this time of racist movement, because
in the meantime, we need to vote. In the meantime, we need to vote.
It has to change. But then, yes, you have to vote.
I'm praying and I'm voting. Okay.
You have to vote, but you also have to change your inner man. You can vote all you want
we must
and still
vote.
deal with but still deal with the same problem 60 years later. We are someone who shows that. I thought that civil rights was going on when we were born back in the 50s.
Well, but you know what, Dee, if you look at our history though, when the civil rights movement, you know, started back in the 60s, you know, Black people as a whole, we haven't voted like we needed to have voted. I'm just gonna say, I agree. You want to blame, you can blame any party that you want, but I'm just saying, and there's Democrat and there's Republicans and there's blame on both sides, and I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying it is so important, and one of the main reasons why we aren't where we need to be, because Black people have decided through the 70s, 80s, 90s that, you know, we're just not voting as we need to vote. And so now we really realize, oh man, when we don't vote for these local people, man, that's how, you know, so-and-so, when they go to court, they go and get more time because we're not voting. And
I agree.
I think
but we need to make a change. The reason we don't vote is because we don't have someone representative on the platform to support
I think
our ideology.
Sometimes we don't reach out. I think Black people have tuned out. I think
I agree.
Out
and
of
because
politics.
for years we haven't voted. So when do we stand up and say and require a change? Well, require a change that maybe even outside of the party system.
We got to run the people that we want in office, because we can stand up, but then we have to be the change. And that's why we
have to be the change.
Turned over in 2018 when Ocasio and all of them got on board, because we must run the people to be the change. We can't wait on them to be change. They don't want to change. The advantage is to them. They don't want to change.
We have to get involved too, Sandra. We need to get involved at the primary levels, even in our school systems and in the schools that our children go to and show up. Because that's where it starts at. It starts in these small little places that have some type of power over us or over our seed. And we don't show up sometimes until the last minute.
Who affect you more are the people in your town and the people in Washington.
Thank you.
You're not voting for
the
people that's right there on the local level where you at. That's where you're gonna get screwed up. That's where you get bad policing. That's where you get all these bad, all these bad decisions.
How many
you don't vote people in that look like your community?
How many minorities don't even show up when they get a jury summons? They come up with an excuse not to.
They hate it.
We should be the first one that show up.
We need you in there, bro.
But there's a problem. There's a disconnect.
When we on trial, man. And he said, well, they got convicted by an all-white jury, but how many? But you know what? And I'm gonna say this too. Now, I'm not trying to get in the weeds with this because this is a short show. T, man, we really got to wrap this up. But you can have as many black people as you want, but they're not gonna pick up for the jury, But that's a whole other discussion.
Well, but what we're talking about it from an African American stance, but even from a white stance. The problem is people have become uncomfortable, and they think that they're supposed to live in comfort. We were never called as citizens to live in comfort. We are to be uncomfortable to bring about change. Just like there are whites that need to bring about change that relate to us and to other citizens in the United States. If we are truly citizens and we are truly, quote, Americans, then there needs to be changes for all Americans, and we are a big part of it. And that's the same thing for us. If we want to take on our citizenship and we say that we've been denied our rights, which we know we have, then we have to make the change that now I'm going to fight for my rights. I'm going to be involved in politics. I'm going to be involved in my children's schools. It can no longer be this, regardless of how it happens.
Multifaceted, but a lot of the stuff that you're saying, we haven't participated in, but at the same time, these are the same things that white people kept us out of for years. So a lot of reasons why they didn't participate is when you look back at your grandmother and all of them, they didn't do it because they weren't invited. So yeah, we need to have that conversation.
But we know better. See, that's what we're talking about.
And let's wrap
we
it up,
know better now. We know better, and it's clear. If we can find our way to the marijuana store on every corner in Denver, you understand? They can tell you who has the best strain and for what. If they can find and educate themselves on that from the lowest levels of society, then they can educate themselves and change our system. Our system.
Well, we gotta love each other, and we need to stop demonizing each other because we got enough people out here killing us.
That's right.
I'm not trying to demonize us. You know what?
No,
we're not perfect, but yeah, I'm not. I mean, we need to do better. We got so many forces against us that they need to stop that first.
Correct. But we also have to recognize our power.
Yeah, we do. We got power.
Stop giving it away. One of the biggest losses of power for the African American has been 30 million people that have been eradicated. We were supposed to by now make up 28% of the population of the United States, and we didn't see that as powerful. Hispanics have. We need to recognize our power. We need to
start having babies.
Gotta make more babies. More babies. Right. I'm gonna start today.
It gives you a vote. Imagine if we made up 28% of this population. Right now, we're still stagnant at 11 to 12. If we made up 28% of this population, we could be putting people in office automatically.
We could still be doing that right now, but we could.
See, man,
we got to go. We have to go. Okay, we gotta go.
Have your babies.
I have to go to work. Okay.
All right. Time out, ladies. Time out.
Yeah.
This has been a very spirited conversation. It's a good thing we all know each other. We're gonna have to have you back and talk about justice, policing, the injustice in America. We all feel that as African Americans, we haven't been treated fairly, and we're not getting our fair share of what we deserve in the world. Not just the United States, but in the world.
Correct.
All right, make sure we get that video uploaded, man. I Can't Breathe 2020, man. I wrote it and I narrated it. All right.
I want to ask you,
Bye, Sandra.
How can somebody donate to your organization, CrossPurpose?
That's easy. You can donate either your money or your time, depending on the proximity. Come close. Come to www.crosspurpose.org. You will find it on our website, different ways that you can give. I tell you right now that your dollar will be useful to change a life. It won't just change a system, but it'll change a life and take someone out of generational poverty. When you change one person's life in that family and they're the meaningful parent, you change lives for up to 2 to 3 generations.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, this is T the Man, Sandra Tucker, and Miss Cornelia Hurry Randall. We want to say goodbye. And for those who've never seen this, this is how our spirited conversations go off camera. We turn it up 100. So we're trying to be dignified today, but we want you to
because we didn't cuss.
Edie, I really appreciate you for coming on and talking about the things that you talked about. Sandra, I appreciate you for being here and bringing your passion, girl. You know how I tell you.
Oh man, you know how I do it, man. I'm a high vibration, you know.
All right. So until next time,
I come with that smoke.
This is LeeStreetBeat, and we'll see you.
Appreciate the work you're doing.
Right.
Thank you, LeeStreetBeat.
You know, and we'll see you, and stay safe, love one another, and help your fellow man.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.
Okay, bye.